Hi everyone, it's Lisa and we're crafting from my home today for the Paris Bourbon County Library. I really enjoy this craft. I just actually picked this craft up about 2 weeks ago and decided it was something that would be easy for me to put into my craft series that I do. So let's take a look first at what we're going to be making. We're going to be making this soft, adorable sock doll. He's got a little toboggan on. He's even got a little hoodie on the back there. So this is adorable. I'm going to show you how to make this sock doll. But first, let's get to a list of the supplies that you're going to need. You're going to need one sock of your color. So if you have a random sock at home, this is a great opportunity to make it into a doll. You will need a white sock. Chances are you probably have one of those random socks as well. If you choose to buy socks, just an example, I bought these at the Dollar Tree for $1 and I could get 2 dolls out of it. And then the one that you will find in your kit is the very soft, I'm not sure what these are called, like a Chanel fabric. And so that will be in your kit. You will get one of the design and you will get one of the white. Other things that you are going to need. You're going to need your scissors. You will need thread and or an embroidery floss. You will need a needle that is appropriate for your whatever you're stitching with, your thread. If it's an embroidery floss, obviously it's going to need an eye that's a little bit larger. And here is our pre-threaded. I did not want to have to thread that on camera. Needle, just your standard needle. You may need some pins. You will need fiber fill. Fiber fill is stuffing. It's used for pillows, it's used for dolls, doll making, that type of thing as well. And then in your kit, you will also get some of the fiber fill, but you will also get some examples of the sock dolls. So you could go beyond what you learned today and make your own version of the sock doll. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And the first thing that we're going to need is our patterned sock. Now let's discuss the doll. It's very soft, very soft. Love the fabric, will clean up well. You should be able to machine wash this. The only thing is, when you're dealing with this type of sock fabric, or knit, I should say, it will shed a little bit. So I love the look of it. It feels soft. Shedding is not really a big issue, but every once in a while I can see where there's a piece that's shedded. So keep in mind the type of sock and what your overall appearance would look like. And actually, if you were going to keep the doll yourself or the grandkids, this is entirely sewn together. I feel like the only unsafe part of this would be the beads that I have attached here. I have an older granddaughter. This would not be an issue, but with the smaller ones, I will suggest at the very end that you stitch the eyes on to appear that they're closed, and you do not need the seed beads. All you will need for that is your embroidery floss. So choose your sock from your random selection of one sock that we always have in our home. Choose your sock wisely, okay? All right, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut our pattern sock. And I've already cut this one. I am not going to cut this one for you now. Otherwise, I've ruined another sock, or I have a sock doll to make. But right here, just below the heel, I'm going to cut. And you can see, oh, excuse me. You can see I've done that. The second cut is the heel. And you're going to cut around the heel. And that's going to be your hood. And then the top part, and I cut mine right here just to level it off, is going to be the hoodie, or excuse me, the toboggan. So you'll cut your sock in two places, here, above the heel, and you'll have three separate parts. And here are the three separate parts. This one is turned inside out. We're going to put these two pieces to the side, and we're going to work with the body first. And all you're simply going to do is open up your sock and fold it in half. We're just evening up the sides. And I'm going to cut through past, I think I'm just going to go right to the red stripe. And now we have our legs. Now, in hindsight, maybe just a little bit farther. So I went through the white. I think that will give more of a leg appearance there. Turn your sock inside out. And I'm going to put a couple of pins in there. And even if you're an amateur seamstress, someone who has not actually used a needle and thread in a while, you can do this. This is simple. Now obviously I could use fabric glue, but then over a period of time that's going to open up. This just ensures the longevity of it. Now I'm using an off-white thread. But you may have a contrasting thread or a thread that actually blends in. So either one, whatever you've got on hand, that's always our motto here. So I'm going to stitch up one side and down the other side. Now I'm going to get us started on this process, and then we will turn away from our camera. I'll finish this up and come back with the finished legs. I'm going to get it started here on the end with multiple pass-throughs. And I'm not going to tug too tightly when I bring that through there, because I do want my knot to stay in place. I don't want it to come through the knit of the sock. Okay, that's in there. And then all I'm doing is I'm just doing a stitch about every 1/4 of an inch. My thread is very long. It should be a little bit shorter, but I did not want to re-thread this, if possible. Now, you can see what I'm doing. Even with as I said, even if you don't sew well with a needle and thread, you can do this. Just ensure that that opening all the way around is tightly closed. And how you do it is up to you. I'm going to continue working on this, and we'll be right back with the finished legs. Okay, this is our finished product. I have stitched from the tip of the toe to the very center, all the way down to the other toe. So what we're going to do is gently, because we don't want to rip out our seams for sure, turn these inside out. And there we go. Now we need to stuff them. If you hear a noise in the background, that would be my cat. Abby has found playing in a shipping bag to be fun. She enjoys it. It's a little noisy at times though. You can even this out with your fingers on the inside. He is meant to look soft and squishy. There's really no measurement on the fiber feel, so if you don't have any, just grab a bag. It's relatively inexpensive and you'll use it for other projects as well. Okay, now in hindsight, here's what I would do different. Remember our first cutting point, and I said, oh no, let's bring it up further. I would not have brought it up further. I would have kept it very low. So keep that in mind. This will still work. My next step is to stitch all the way around here and pull it together. So for that task, I'm going to use my embroidery floss. I'm going to put a knot in the end. Because I'm tugging on it, I feel like I'm going to be tugging my thread actually through it, and it's not going to stitch. It's just going to keep sliding through the knit of the sock. In, out, in, out. Just that stitch is all you need. And you can see you can gradually pull that. Now don't tug too hard or it will still come through the knit of the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and complete this and I'll finish with our demonstration. Okay, we're back and you see that I have stitched around the top of the sock body, and I've actually stitched through it a couple of times too, just to anchor it and make sure that it's not coming apart. So we can put this one to the side for a few minutes because now we're going to be making the head. And the head is our white sock, and you'll be cutting just right above the heel. So you're going to need probably 4 inches there. And you are going to stuff the head. And you determine how large you want your head to be. This is a good size head. That's baseball size. So let's put a little bit more in. Now, once you have the shape and the amount in there that you want, all you're simply going to do is gather this, and you're going to stitch it just like this, making sure that you anchor it at the very end so it doesn't come open. So I'm going to get us started. Again, I'm going to be using this embroidery floss with a big knot on the end of it. This will not be seen. I can cut off the extra if I need to. So let me go ahead and finish this one up. You guys continue around here, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. Okay, here is the finished product for the head. I think that's a good size, and you'll notice I have this left on the end. I'm going to use my scissors to trim that up. I'm not going to get too close. I don't want to risk cutting the sock, but I am going to just trim it up just a little bit. And my next step is to attach the head to the body. So we're going to mesh these two together. And again, this will not be seen very much because you've got this scarf around the neck, I should say, or a hoodie type thing. So if I were you, if you have a floss that is an off-white or a white, please use it. I do not. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to continue using this. You know what? Because you might not have embroidery floss, I think I'm going to use just your regular thread. We're going to make that work. So I'm going to put a good size knot in the end. And we obviously are trying to keep that knot from going entirely through the knit here. Now, it doesn't really matter, I don't suppose, on this one, but I'm going to turn that around so that that toe seam is in the back. We're going to call that the back part. And we'll put these two together. I'm going to start in the back to see how my stitches look. I'm taking a little bit of this body and a little bit, I'm not pulling hard. Actually, I'm going to go over that stitch again. And even again to get us started. There we go. I'm taking a little bit of the body, a little bit of the head. I'm taking a little bit of the body and a little bit of the head. Now eventually I'll be able to tug on this and draw that tighter. Now continue all the way around and I will see you back with the finished product. Okay, we've attached the head to the body. Our next step, you can see the stitching there just a little bit, but I am glad that I used the thread, the off-white, that blended in so much better. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some little arms on this guy. So we need to decide where we want our arms to start. And I'm probably going to start right there at the top of the red. And then I'll probably make it to the bottom of the red. So you'll notice on this guy, I used from the pink stripe all the way down to the top of the blue stripe. And that gives him little arms and pockets. Now you can also stitch over, and that does give a little indication that they are in his pockets, but this is a simple way to do it. Also, it's an easy way to grab onto your sock doll. I'm going to use I will not have enough thread to finish this, but I'm going to go ahead and start on one side. I'm starting from the back. And I'm going down the red stripe. Actually moved it up a little bit more. I'm pulling. Now I'm going to do this a couple more times, and I'm going to finish both sides, and I'll pull that, make sure it's stitched off very well there, tied off very well, and when I come back we'll have our arms for our sock doll. Okay, we have made our arms for our little guy. There he is so far. Next thing we're going to do is make his hat. Actually, we can go ahead if you want to, and you can put his little hoodie on. It should hang on the back like an actual little hoodie. And that covers up most of that neck area that you might have been worried about, and gives him a nice little hoodie on the back. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to turn the top part of your sock, not with the edge of it, but with the raw edge, the one where you cut. And you're going to in and out again, just like you did at the top of the body. You have to tie a knot in the end of these. Learn from my mistakes. There we go. It's an ugly knot, but it'll work. It's going to be on the inside. I'm stitching somewhat along that red line that you see there. Just in and out. We're drawing that all together at the very top. And then just to secure it, I'm just making a little stitch here at the end. And now I'm able to trim it. Thank you for your patience with that. My needle came unthreaded and it wasn't knotted. Now you can trim that up if you need to. I don't really think I'm going to need to. We're going to turn that inside out. And there is our hat. And we are almost finished. like to readjust the hat just a little bit. Although the first time a child actually has this, the hat will be readjusted, we know. So there we go. Even without a face, that is adorable. Now, I have the seed beads on mine. But if you would rather do a casting stitch, just a straight one, here and here, that will give the appearance of eyes that are closed. So I'm going to do a casting stitch for you. I need to make sure I'm threaded. I do not want to put a knot in this one. I'm afraid the knot will appear. So I'm going to move the hat up. And this will depend on how wide you want your eyes to appear. I'll pull this towards me for just a little bit, and that's actually pretty good. So to finish this off, I'm going to go right back down, and I'm going to go to the end of the eye and pull through. And we're going to trim up. And trim up. Now I'm going to make the other eye, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just finished my eye. It looks like I need to trim up just a little bit there. I don't want to cut into it, that's for sure. And there is our sock doll, definitely with a personality for sure. Here's the back. I do need to trim that. Here's the back of it. There will be, again, just a little bit of peeling that will happen as a result of cutting that knit along the edges there, but that will eventually go away. And this is an adorable idea. I'm so glad I came upon this craft that was recommended by one of my co-workers. I hope you've enjoyed the process for the sock doll. Thank you, and keep crafting.